probably see me in the reflection. Hello, Murray.
Hello.
You're the proprietor.
That's right.
Thank you. So this is a selection of works on paper from pretty much as a way of integrating a lot of the variant themes and series of canvases that I've been making down south in Invercargill in the old maternity hospital. And paper is such a fluid and adaptive form that I've been able to integrate a lot of the different stylistic parts of my own psyche and methods in the studio into a coherent form, a standardised scale, but also a very adaptive and fluid one. So a lot of my themes have been able to bounce around inside the work, and I've made a lot of technique things in a sort of smaller scale sequencing. So there's been this tussle between practice of how it's done and then what it's about. So like all my work, it's basically a lifestyle identity search, really, and you could say that's a truth search too, really. I have my own take on every one. The ones that made this show are pretty much the strongest set that works together. I still have probably this times 3 in a box. However, each show could be a different theme. So that's what I mean. Paper is very adaptive. I can do multiple series and multiple angles quickly because of the scale and techniques, whereas canvases require, I think also because paper is, you're allowed to get it wrong. Paper's always been about thinking out loud and maybe even more an internal process. And in that way, I called the show Exorcise. And that was between, see, I opened up a dictionary at home, I meditated, I was agonising over a title, and I thought, well, what am I dealing with? I'm dealing with sort of, I've been thinking about evil and into clash of civilizations, technology, fears, paranoias even, an Armageddon type thing. We're all getting turned into robots, the International Monetary Fund controlling nations like corporations through debt, and more or less psychic slavery and internal police surveillance of digital age, redundancy, resource grabs, the perpetual capitalist war. I mean, all these, you know, we're in the middle of a mass extinction. So I thought I was doing quite an anarchic and troubled, angry exhibition. Upon the realisation of the show, I realised I've been dealing with the alchemy of transformation and magic. You don't know grief unless you know praise. I mean, there's definitely some troubled subject matter, but for me, the joy of the story itself has transcended the subject. And I was trying to explain that to people in the dialogue I had at the wonderful opening last night here in Dunedin, which is one of my homes. So I've used all sorts of media, like there's some spiral shells here, some little cat eyes. Every fragment of nature has an aspect of the Fibonacci sequence in it. Golden ratio. So no part of the universe is separate than any other part. Even a sick part. And whether you want to see that as the current paradigm of humanity or a dilation of desperate, needy ego of a dilated art practice. Someone's got to do it. All of these works have an inverse sort of residual effect. It's much part of my kaupapa is the backs have an intrinsic quality. born of the process, and there's probably more of a, sort of purity to them. So that's what I'd call a back. I've done shows called Palimpsest, for example, but I try not design the backs. I try and leave them as being incidental to what's going on the fronts. And sometimes, like the process itself is better than my narrative, even though my narratives include, many different angles. So it's sort of like an open book. And this is the recent generation of the scale and attitude and work. And I've sort of dubbed it a continuation of the New York series, because it is. It's like a purposeful and intentful series of works on paper for themselves, rather than being, explorations around painting. And I've reconstituted some weaker works from the past, and that sped the process up. So there's a lot of sort of jigsawing and cobbling from one work to another, and trying to marry compositions, and there was a lot of surprises and incidental accidents within the making, and I just love the way different people come up with their own stories. So although I have titled the works, it's not important because there's writings all through them. There's notations from various poetic and philosophical sources, be it conversations recorded from friends and texts, inspirational quotes, or some kind of professor on an MP3 lecture playing. I feel like this is for example, I'm really pleased with this particular work because of the more sort of fluid and floaty aspect. It's Mind of a Child, and of course this is a state where one can enter the kingdom of heaven, as it were, and bowl in a mountain stream is what one Zen master called that state of mind. So it's hard not to observe the mind in the making of the art and reflect on consciousness and exceedingly complex language that talks about itself. There you go. Crazy feedbacks. Deeds and doer. Through you, the universe becomes aware of itself. Enlightened mind of a child, like a ball in a mountain stream. Just a little. Oh, what's that guy? He's drowning. Is he in another dimension? But yeah, there's all sorts of keys. This one's called Possibilities. Very much allegories to an alchemic earth, air, water, fire, space, ether, chi. Yes, very much so these allegories to matter and the primordial transformation that we're in, I am. And so the works are really documents of sort of a higher awareness processing that, and they become their own language, and they surprise me. What I really like is sort of, here, look, you got that wee whip of red and you got that word ancient. Now, I don't think I planned it. It's a little side issue from the overall portal beyond. So rhythm and mutation. I think ones like this I pretty much didn't know which way around they went. So I'm going to use the magic of, so yeah, it could go that way. Using a lot of, so this is like a plastic thing from a laptop keyboard. So, you know, using common glyphs that maybe are a little bit sort of, and there's also a bit of circuit board rubbing in there. Your rubbings off a little, you know, chipset. So, constantly finding sort of new things to delve at. Yeah. So yeah, I've kind of, although I had really clear intentions, I think one of the mild criticisms I might have had last night was, you know, what are you on about? What are you on about in your work? You know, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's not, you know, save our oceans from exploitation of oil. It's not, you know, it's not any clear, significant statement that is, and yet, you know, I think this is sort of part of the issue that we're all in. We're all aware of so much that's going on, and we're all aware of we're part of a limited paradigm that treats the earth like an unsustainable sort of resource grab, and we all know we're privileged robbers that are babied by our masters and kept as sort of willing, subservient debt slaves. And you know, there's so much that we know we're part of that is wrong. It's hard to know where to begin to make statements. And I think art itself is a form of transformation, and because of my proclivity towards internal process and meditation, and one thing always leads to another, and you know, the process itself is the subject as well, which is like the problems you're thinking about. So often maybe I'm siding with life itself. I'm siding with the solution, which is innate in the making of the art, rather than my adherence to the fact that there's a problem to deal with. You see what I'm saying? I'm really proud of people like John Minto in our country. Actually, I met him when I was on a protest march as a kid. My mum had things to do with heart, anti-apartheid. You see? So this is be kind. Culture, like a war. You know, war is like a birth, and birth is like a genocide, and patterns from a large perspective, I suppose. So get out of my mind, that's what this one's called. And that was about the surveillance GCSB bill, government, digital stuff, and just how any of us could be called terrorists for saying exactly what I'm saying. There's not much we can do about it. So yeah, so we show at Mint. Pretty much any of these images can be G-clayed, made a archival print of. Murray, the man you met earlier, is the guy to do it. They'll be on his website, posted on my website. So yeah, thanks a lot. It's supposed to be just a walkthrough, not an in-depth bloody autobiography. I'll just read you the, oh look, yeah, we've got heaps and drawers too, eh? So yeah, you know, like what I thought was a bit more of a protest show turned out to be quite pretty and ownable. Pretty in some interpretive way. So a whole lot of technique pieces I'm playing. I'm going to be working in outside of Melbourne in a residency shortly. It's my privilege. It's one of the things I applied for. I applied for 3 things. Invercargill's been very generous to me. I love the environment and there's some good people there. But one does need to show to eat, sell to eat. And I enjoy that natural tension actually. Yeah, I enjoy treating it like a job and a career and a spiritual mission all at the same time. But I intend to not show in Melbourne actually. I intend to make in a forest and then yes, select and approach people. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this set because yeah, it allows me such range, and maybe it's just simply that my paintings are a bit large, but yeah, there's nothing like a sort of large statement to feel like you've sorted who you're supposed to be and what you are and your projection of it all. This show is also going to the Art Box in Christchurch. May the 7th is the opening, 2014. With, yeah, you know, so it's a very highly adaptive set of work that can pretty much fill any type of space. So you're just developing my language with a boundary, I suppose. Boundaries. The one in the window, yeah, I mean, there's stories behind everyone. So, yeah, okay, well, thanks again for your patience. This one is one of the last. It's quite a tough piece. It's called Real Lucky Man. The Mayan calendar stitched on. I've really broken it down. It's, you know, particle physics. You know, the truth is stranger than reality. You know, science and magic, and the wheel, and Dharma, you know, birth and rebirth, or is it just a CD? Yeah, it's where nature itself makes the picture and interpretation a second. That's what I'm enjoying. That's the place I'm enjoying. But getting behind ego and narrative, it takes a long time. You know, you've got to, it's like digging a hole. I do a lot of spade work, and by the time you dig the hole, you've got to go and package and sell it and show it. So you know, I find I've opened myself up the most towards the end, right before you have to have the show. It's quite ironic, but without that pressure you might not have done it either. We all know about that. It's a David Eagleton lyric, Antennas Fully Out. Yeah, so I am media DNA. Formation in what? Mitochondria, your racial memory.